And I'm live, just waiting for everything to get set up. Hey to whoever who's tuning in to watch this, both now and watching also the replay. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I'm actually excited to do this because I'm actually testing something new for myself today. Just a surprise thing, so new action I'm taking for myself this week. Remember, my entire intention is just to become the best version of myself, and I'm always testing myself, getting out of my comfort zone, because that's the only way you actually get to grow and evolve and become the best version of yourself. That can happen when you're constantly scared to just get out of the way and take new action for yourself. So for me, I'm always so excited whenever I'm just tapping into something new because I know it's taking me to the next level of myself. So today I'm actually challenging myself to do something, which is actually a surprise and a gift for anyone who's tuning in. I actually want to do a quantum flow, just a tiny quantum flow meditation that will help go hand in hand with whatever I'm going to be talking about today to just help you release anything that's been keeping you stuck in terms of self-judgment, okay? The lies we tell ourselves. That's the name or the title of this video. So I'm going to be diving deep into that. Make sure that you tune in until the end of this live because I will be doing a short meditation just to help you integrate everything that I talk about during this session. It's my first time doing it, so in case things don't go right, I'm just setting the intention right. I was just testing out the sound and making sure that everything is right, that you guys can hear the music. So this is the first time I'm doing this, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully everything goes all right the next time round, okay? And this is essentially how you should go about taking new actions, okay? Chances are you will probably not get it the first time round, but keep at it because the more and more you take that action, the more and more you get better at it. But you won't get better at it if you're just stuck in one spot, okay? So, hi, my name is Eva. I'm an intuitive energetic healer, and right now I'd call myself also an authenticity coach because the one thing that I believe in is everyone living their most authentic version of themselves, not based on what society or the people around you or whoever it is has lied to you about your true identity, but really embracing all that you are and making sure that you're making daily choices, taking daily actions that align with your true nature. So I'm an intuitive healer, a certified quantum flow coach, a certified silver alignment coach. And if you want to know more about this, I'll do a small explanation of this just to invite you to go deeper with me if you're interested in work one-on-one, but I'll do that at the end of this live. Okay, so make sure you tune in if you're curious about that. I always start my lives by sharing my weekly lesson. So this week was all about judgment, which actually goes hand in hand with what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm reading a beautiful book called Conversations with God, which I actually recommend to you if you're watching me right now. It's a beautiful book by author is called Neil Donald Walsh. And in this book, he's just basically sharing about a conversation that he was having with God. And basically he's just asking questions to God and God is answering him. And one of the most beautiful things I read this week was, that judgment. Anytime we go through a certain situation and then what our ego does is that we always want to assign labels to whatever we're going through in life. And by labels, I mean that you want to identify something as being bad or you want to identify something as being good, right? That's essentially how our ego is designed to operate in this world. But in actual reality, whatever event that you're going through from the universe perspective, right? From source perspective or from your higher self perspective, it's just an action. There is no, it's a very neutral way of looking at whatever goes on in your life. It's not good or the bad. It just is. And this is what Neil Donald Walsh was talking about, that anytime you're going through a situation, really train yourself not to assign it as good or bad, because essentially you don't know. And I've shared this previously on my channel where I shared a beautiful story where and I'm not going to dive deep into the topic, but basically, this person was going through certain challenges. And every time he was going through these challenges, the people around him will come and label it as good or bad. And then later on, you'll actually come to identify that whatever was assumed to be bad actually turned out to be good later on. And these people had already assigned it to be bad. Anytime you go through a certain painful situation, like for example, you lose your job or something like that, and in that moment, it really feels bad. So your ego mind and everyone around you saying, oh man, bad luck. You're going through the worst possible situation right now. Only later on for you to find out, like months down the line, that probably whatever happened, you losing that job was probably the best gift that the universe could ever have given to you. But you have no way of knowing that in this present moment. So in your mind, you'll be labeling something as bad, you'll be labeling something as good, but in actuality, you really don't know what that is until you actually go through and experience the consequences of that. So Neil Donald Walsh actually highlights that, can we exercise or really train ourselves not to assign labels, judge any kind of situations we go through, because in actual truth, you have no idea whether that situation is good or bad. You'll only know once you actually go through the experience of the consequences from that particular action or circumstance or whatever it is, experience, right? So that was my lessons for this week. And I love to hear your lessons also. I love to learn. I love to grow. So please share down in the comments and let's learn and grow from each other, from everyone who's in this space right now. Okay, and it doesn't matter what time whenever you're actually tuning in to watch this video, share your lessons. Let's learn from each other. Let's grow from each other, because you never know what your comment can actually inspire or spark in someone else. So never devalue anything that you have to share with the world, because if you're inspired to do that, chances are there's someone out there who needs that message that you have for them. So do not be afraid. Do not judge yourself for anything that you have to share. Don't label it as big or small, just share it as long as it's coming from your spirit. Okay. So that was my lesson for this week. Today, I want to talk about the lies we tell ourselves. The self judgments, that internal self talk that we have with ourselves in our mind, that anytime we're going through what, like you're meeting someone new, you're going through a new experience, and then that internal dialogue you have with yourself, like, oh man, I should not have said that. Did I say that correctly? Am I dressed correctly? This kind of judgments you have with yourself. You've gone for an interview and you're trying to think like, I shouldn't have said that to the interviewer. I shouldn't have done this. I should have walked in and greeted this person by the hand. Like those kind of judgments that we constantly have, that inner dialogue we constantly have running in our minds about something that we perceive to have done wrong in a certain moment. I'm going to give you a beautiful, what actually inspired this particular topic I want to talk about today. That I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. So I attended a group session, just a session where we share with each other our different perspectives of life. So the theme yesterday was basically about reincarnation and creation and all of that, and everyone was sharing their perspective based on that. And I did give my share. But in my mind, I was so self-conscious. That always happens sometimes. Was I eloquent enough? Did I make sense to these people? Was this I speaking anyhow? Like, those kind of judgments you have with yourself. I know you can relate if you're watching me, right? So I was having those kind of thoughts afterwards and just really thinking that, did they receive me correctly? Did I speak clearly? And all of that, right? So I'm having a conversation with my friend after the session and I'm sharing and I'm asking them like, hey, did you think that my share was actually okay? Did it make sense? And all of that. And my friend tells me like, actually, all everyone who shared in the call resonated deeply with my friend and including my share, and it was very insightful. And I was actually eloquent and I spoke very clearly and I shared my ideas very clearly, right? In my head, I'm thinking I probably didn't do my best job at that moment, but the person who's receiving it is actually saying that the share was actually very insightful, and very inspiring. Okay. Funny thing is that my friend also had the same kind of self-conscious judgment about their share as well. And the weird thing is that on my end, their share was actually one of the best shares in in that entire session, that one of the shares that I deeply resonated with. So felt it was really funny for me, because like, how many people get stuck in this in this dialogue, internal dialogue they have in their mind, where they're constantly so worried about what other people are thinking about them. And chances are, whatever it is that you're thinking people see about you is actually not the truth. It's actually the farthest thing from reality. But then, what do most people do? They allow themselves to get stuck in that self judgment and allow these feelings of shame, of guilt, of lack of self worth, of not enoughness to permeate different aspects of their life because they're always so terrified that they're gonna say the wrong thing, right? And some of it even ties down to, remember when you're in school and maybe you raise your hand and so excited to share your an answer to a question, and then you say the wrong thing and then people laughed and then you're like, oh no, I said the wrong thing. We've gone through those moments in our life, and some of it, if you find yourself going through that kind of self-judgment right now, chances are it's touching on that particular memory, something that happened with you in the past. You're not going through that experience right now, but because you have that memory imprinted inside of you, anytime you're about to make that or take a kind of action that actually triggers that memory for you, you hold yourself back because you remember how they laughed at you, how they shamed you for being wrong. At the end of it all, these are internal judgments. It's not the world judging you, it's you judging you. That event is long past, it's gone. You're never going to experience that again. And chances are, even the people who laughed at you in that moment, they barely remember that incident. But with you, since it hurt you deeply, you're still carrying that memory, still holding yourself back, still holding on to your ideas because you're just so terrified that I'm going to share something and someone is going to judge and someone is going to laugh. And when I'm sharing this, trust me, I'm speaking from experience. This used to be me not so long ago. So, really going through that motion of releasing that self judgment and allowing myself to make the mistake. And you've seen me right now. I've just shared with you that I'm about to take a new action on this live right now and give a meditation, something I've not done on any of my YouTube videos that I can remember. Actually, I haven't done this. This is the first time I'm doing this, but I'm willing to take that action because guess what? I'm willing to make the mistake. I'm willing to fail and I'm willing to learn from my mistake and get better at it. You're never going to be right the first time round. And here's the thing, right? Your perspective, it's not wrong, it's not right. It's your perspective and it's completely perfect and all right for you. So who cares if anyone else believes in what you have to say? You believe in yourself. And here is the thing, right? It doesn't matter what kind of belief, what kind of thoughts you're having about yourself. Chances are, even if the people around you don't actually agree with you, someone in the world actually agrees with you. And the internet is so vast and has opened up so the world for us. So it doesn't matter which part of the world you're in. Go to any of the social media pages, and chances are you're probably going to run across someone who has the same kind of ideologies that you have. So it doesn't matter what the people around you are thinking about you or what their perspective is, or whether they think that you're wrong or whatever. There's someone out there in the world who actually believes in what you have to say. So don't hold yourself back by judging yourself as wrong or unworthy of whatever it is, just because you're creating these weird scenarios in your mind. And just because it happened once to you doesn't mean it's going to happen to you forever. If anything, if it's happened to you where you've actually judged yourself and other people judge you back, chances are, remember that your external reality is always a reflection of your internal reality. So anything happening on the outside is always a reflection of some belief that you have in yourself. And it's never a punishment, it's always an invitation for you to go deeper and heal that lack of worthiness within you. So it's never about them, even if they laugh, even if they point fingers at you, even if they judge you, it's not about them. It's about your idea and your belief system that's allowing that to trigger you, that's allowing that to make you feel unworthy in some way, that's allowing that to make you feel like you're not enough. So it's never about them. They can laugh, they can judge, they can talk behind your back, but how are you going to respond to that? That's the most important question that I want you to answer for yourself. So, really releasing that judgment for self, the lies you're constantly telling yourself, that the world will not accept me. If you're feeling inspired, that inspiration is coming from your spirit. Trust you me, there's someone in the out there in the world who needs to hear that message. And here's the thing, right? It's also timeless. So it doesn't matter that even if you share right now that, oh, no one saw my post, or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever it is, oh, I must have said something wrong. It's timeless. The internet never forgets. Isn't that the phrase that everyone says? So even if the person who's meant to hear that message doesn't hear it right now, how about in the next 6 years, 5 years, couple of months, and someone struggling right now with a question, and your answer that you share today, whatever it is that you're sharing today, happens to be the answer that they actually need for themselves. How beautiful is that? The reason why I keep doing these videos, right, is because a lot of my teachers that I'm tapping into right now started years ago. And when you hear them talking on their lives or on their videos for up to 8 years ago, they actually didn't even have a lot of subscribers. They didn't even have a lot of viewers on that. The funny thing is that if they allowed themselves to let their judgment of themselves and whatever the world was perceiving them as at that time stop them from sharing their message, then me 8 years later will never have gotten inspired, will never have been blessed enough to listen to that message that they shared 8 years ago and feel inspired within myself. And this is the reason why I always keep showing up. Because my belief system is that I don't know whatever it is that I'm sharing right now. Maybe someone needs to hear it, whether now, whether months later or years later, someone, somewhere, as long as it's coming from a spirit, from a higher self, from my guides, I'm sure that someone somewhere needs to hear this, regardless of when that is. Could be 20 years from now, could be 30 years from now, but this message is meant for someone else. So really release that judgment of self that other people are looking at me, other people are talking about me, and all of that. Chances are they're not. And even if they are, why is that triggering you? That's the question you need to answer. Release those triggers. Stop caring so much about what other people think about you. And you know what? Here's what I've realized that most people are just too focused and worried about themselves to sit down and start creating stories about you. Yes, we do have these people who spend most of their lives just gossiping and spreading information about others and all. You'll always find such characters. Never mind those people. When you find someone with that kind of character who's just so focused on putting or wanting other people to focus on distractions outside themselves about what celebrity did what this person did in their life, just gossiping and gossiping, chances are this person is very unhappy with their own life. And all of these things they're talking about is just an effort to distract themselves from actually dealing with their pain, their suffering. It's too much for them. They can't handle it. So it's easier for them to talk about other people and keep the focus on other people than on themselves. And that's basically it. So why on earth would you care about that person's opinion? They don't matter. Remember, it's their pain. Had people, had people. It's their pain they're trying to release through you. Don't worry about that. You focus on you and becoming the best version of yourself, okay? Also want to share this story that I love consuming content about people who've actually experienced near-death experiences. And by the way, if you're watching me, please go and actually listen to their stories, that when they actually cross over for just a moment to the other side, what they actually experience on the other side. Because one of the biggest struggles we have in this life is that judgment that we have, that I am so wrong. There's a higher person who's going to judge me and send me straight down. You know what I'm talking about? For the mistakes I've done in my life. So I'm unworthy. I'm not enough. And I want to say that this is also not your fault, because this is largely what society has taught us. Regardless of what you might be, whatever religion you have, and all of that, like we've been raised to believe that there's something wrong with that we have to atone for a mistake that was made centuries, decades, millennia ago, and we have to constantly have because there's something wrong with us, which is actually not true. When you read or hear about the NDE experiences, people who've had near death experiences crossed over to the other side, none of them ever shares that they receive judgment from anyone on that side. And some of them talk about meeting um, Jesus, they talk about meeting their guides, they talk about meeting angels. None of them ever talk about receiving any kind of judgment. If anything, you want to know where the judgment comes from? It actually comes from the self. That there's some of them who actually go through this thing we call life review, where they're actually shown scenes of, you know, memories of whatever they've experienced in their life. And when they're going through that experience, it's not to punish them, not to shame them, but it's them requesting that so that they can actually develop a different perspective of what pain they cause on other people. So any kind of judgment that is perceived that you're going to have when you cross over to the other side, it doesn't exist. The judgment, in essence, actually comes from us because that's what we've been trained to do. That's the belief system that we have. And I want to share this because there's a beautiful ND experience I tapped into just this week where this man had this belief system that he's actually Christian, right? So he does believe that anytime I ask for forgiveness, I'm forgiven by Jesus, right? So that was his belief system when he was having this ND experience. And funny thing is that that belief system is what served him on the other side. There was no judgment. He didn't feel shame. He didn't feel wrong. He didn't feel anything because he had that strong belief that even if I make a mistake and I ask for forgiveness, I'm always going to be forgiven. So on the other side, guess what? Welcome with open arms. He's never made a mistake and all of that, right? But for most people, the ones who have that belief system that you're going to be punished for everything, every mistake you've had, guess what? They're the ones who probably go through the life review. But it's very vast. It's not my area of topic, so I don't want to dive deep into it. Just go and consume as much content as you can and just form your own judgments of that. And if you want to share, please share down in the comments because I love to learn from anyone. Okay. But I want to share this story because I want to just park that idea within you that if you have that belief system that I'm wrong, I'm not enough, the universe has no other choice but to respect your free will because you are the creator of your own experience. So if that is what you want to create, that I'm always wrong, I'm not enough, guess what? The universe will always match that vibration that you're sending out. So you'll always encounter a situation, you'll always encounter people that are constantly reinforcing that belief for yourself. So release it. It does not serve you. Release that self-judgment. Allow yourself to make the mistakes that you need to make. It's okay. Everyone messes up. The most important thing is that even when you fall, make sure you're getting up and still continuing the journey. You're not allowing yourself to get stuck in that reality of, oh, I messed up. So this must be my time to give up. No, giving up is never an option. You keep forging forward, stand up, dust yourself off, and say, okay, so I've learned a new way not to do that thing. I'm going to be better in the next step. And keep doing that over and over again. And it doesn't matter what the world thinks of you, it only matters what you believe about yourself because the world will always respond to you in the way that you respond to yourself. So if you have hatred, if you have judgment for self, guess what? The world has no other choice but to respect your beliefs, and you'll constantly get judgments and rejection and all those things that remind you of that belief system. But if you genuinely, and I'm hoping that you for watching me, chances that you're ready to release that for yourself, release everything that no longer serves you. Okay. So I'm gonna end this with my share. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. That was my share. And I want to go deep into quantum flow meditation just to help you release those thoughts of self-judgment. One of the beautiful techniques that I normally use is number one, the quantum flow, because quantum flow is actually it incorporates breathwork, sound, and movement to help you release this deep-seated trauma, this emotional wounds that we've been carrying all the way from childhood, even from your mother's womb, that got imprinted within your nervous system, which relates to your unconscious mind. So sometimes we react to life not based on what we're going through, but based on the memory of who we were. We no longer want to be that. But because your body still has a memory of that within the nervous system, you keep on responding in the same way over and over again. And all of a sudden you now start identifying with something that you're actually not. But because you've been responding to life over and over again in the same way, it becomes your true reality, your true identity, which is actually a false identity you embody within yourself. So with quantum flow, beautiful technique that incorporates so many other techniques from yoga, kinesthetic, qigong, you name it, breathwork, all of that, all combined in this beautiful technique that I share with all my any client who books a session with me. It really helps you to release that stuck trauma within your nervous system that has been holding you back for such a long time. And the more and more you commit to doing this beautiful practice, the more you're awakening more of who you actually are, not based on a false identity, based on all the false programs, all the false beliefs you've picked up from the people around you, from your experiences that have been limiting you, but based on what and who you want to become. So you get to create a new identity, a new reality for yourself. If all of this sounds good, I'm going to be doing a beautiful quantum flow meditation just to help you really integrate that. But remember, with quantum flow, it's not a one time thing that you go through one meditation or one practice and then boom, all your story is over. Remember, you've built your stories for a very long time. And to release that, it's going to take commitment. It's going to take working. It's going to take you working on that on a daily basis, if possible. I've been doing quantum flow for the past 4 years. And let me tell you, if you knew me from 4 years ago, you will not be able to recognize me today. It's a completely different personality. When I share with you that I'm so willing to take new action, this wasn't my reality 4 years ago. If anything, I loved things staying the same. I hated change. And anyone who threatened my comfort zone, anyone who forced me to make a change, oh man, they met my wrath. But I had to release that because I wanted to become the best version of myself. So when you see me willing to take new action, willing to just go for it and fail and see what comes, it's because I've been empowered with this technique and also with soul realignment, which is based on working with Akashic records, to really awaken that gift that is in each one of you, anyone who's watching this. So I hope I inspire you with this meditation to really go deeper. But if you want to go deeper with this, both to work with quantum flow, releasing all the stuckness within your nervous system, I do offer an 8 week course with me. One on one, we get to work with whatever issues that you have and design and you'll have now practices that you can tap into on a daily basis after the 8 weeks, just to help you to keep on releasing all that trauma, all those emotional wounds going forward. Beautiful practice that will really impact your life. The second modality I work with is called soul realignment, which is based on working with the Akashic records. The soul realignment really is about connecting with your true essence, the true nature of your soul. A lot of us are making choices going against who we were designed to be and creating so much dysfunction in our life. Here's what you might not know, that just because someone else is doing something and creating great results for themselves, it does not mean that their choice is your choice. Our positive choices are usually choices that are aligned to who our true divine nature. And that is actually different for all of us. So whatever constitutes a positive choice for me might not be what constitutes a positive choice for you. So anytime you're trying to emulate the people around you and going against your divine nature, guess what? You only create dysfunction in your life, which is always reflected on different areas of your life. So if you ever find yourself that maybe you're trying to be things that you're not, you saw someone open up a podcast and they're like, oh, boom, let me try open up a podcast. That is where all the money is. And then you open, because no one is saying anything. There's a reason behind that. Don't go against the nature of your soul. With soul relevant is really connecting you back, helping you really identify who you were created to be. Identify your soul level gifts that you're supposed to leverage to create a better human experience for yourself, to help you identify the origin of your soul. We all came from somewhere, okay? and identify the characteristics of that still impact your everyday life. And the best thing about soul alignment is that it helps you reconnect with your soul story. So remember that in our past lives, life was not as easy as it is right now. And I know a lot of you will argue with me right now, but if you compare our life right now compared to what we used to live with in the past, where every day someone could just wake up and they say, you know what? I feel like just going and grabbing your land, war created. And anytime you went against what society viewed as acceptable, chances are you will be unalived in the most painful way possible. So a lot of us didn't have so many choices available to us. If you were born poor, chances are you are going to die poor. There was no opportunity to go from poorness to richness. That was almost impossible in this lifetime. But right now, we have so much choice available to us because the world has been open to us. We've been given so much freedom to be more of who we are. Okay. So it's soul relevant. It's connecting you now to that particular soul story that your particular spirit has started making choices that went against their divine nature. And chances are you're still repeating the same mistakes right now. You're still making the same choices because here is the thing. A lot of the circumstances, a lot of the experiences that you keep on experiencing in this life have nothing to do with this current lifetime. Chances are you keep on attracting the same people and the same circumstances over and over again because they are a match to what is imprinted within your blueprint based on the past life choices you made. So you keep on encountering the same people, the same circumstances over and over again because your soul wants to resolve this karma for itself. But because most people are not aware of what choices they made in the past, they keep repeating the same mistakes again. So it's all relevant. It's really connecting you and helping you bring awareness to what those mistakes are or what those choices were. Okay, they're still repeating right now. And once you have that awareness, once you have that empowerment, now going forward, you have that choice. Are you going to keep on recreating the same circumstances or are you going to aim to be better? And the best thing with soul element is that you get to heal energetically with Akashic records by setting the intention to clear this negative karmic experiences from your blueprint so that now going forward, you stop becoming an energetic match to all these choices. But really, the best thing about soul element is that it empowers you to fully step into who you actually are, your most authentic self. So if this sounds good to you, I invite you to book a discovery call with me. It's free, 15 to 30 minutes, and we can actually find if any of the solutions that I offer to any of my clients is actually a good solution for you. So no commitment, just join in, book a discovery call, and see if it's actually a fit. And then hopefully you book a reading with me, you book a session with me, and you get to actually now fully step into your full potential. Okay. So I'm going to be leaving the links to that in the description box below. And make sure that you do subscribe to my channel. If you do like the kind of content I share out here, subscribe and also click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any time I share or I even go live. You know, I love to interact with you when I go live. Okay, so thank you so much for that. And now we're